This is a tutorial for the website of the project Manuscripts with Irish Associations. It's mira.ie, and this is intended to show you how to browse manuscript images using Mirador, which is a really good open source image viewer designed for a framework called IIIF or IIIF. IIIF allows libraries to share images of manuscripts and other things, and it creates interesting possibilities for viewing and interaction. So from the homepage here of Manuscripts with Irish Associations, I'll just browse some manuscripts, and you can see on the right that where you have a picture of an image or picture frame, this indicates that there are images available on a website, and where there's a sign for IIIF, this indicates that there is a Mirador viewer where you can browse the images inline. So in this case, this is a manuscript from Reichenau, now in Karlsruhe. And the image viewer is fairly straightforward. There's thumbnails along the bottom. You can select a thumbnail. This is 6 verso, 7 recto. And the zoom controls are fairly straightforward. You can zoom in and zoom out, or you can also double click to zoom in, which is very handy. If you find a particular point you're interested in, you can double click, you go right into that point. And in fact, you can also shift and double click to come back out again. There is a useful feature above the manuscript image where you find 3 bars here. You can open it up, and the first presentation is some information about the manuscript itself. And this comes directly from the library website. So this information would vary a little bit depending on the particular collection. That is some information about the manuscript. And here, if you click on this icon, which is an index, depending on the information that the library provides, you might get a table of contents for the manuscript, which is obviously something useful as well. Also, along the top bar, as well as these 3 lines which open up information about the manuscript, there are some viewing options. And if you click on this icon on the right-hand side of the top bar, you can decide to turn off the thumbnails at the bottom, or indeed to present them on the right-hand side if that's your preference. And you can also decide to view images as a single page, double page, or in this gallery view. I'll come back to this other icon in a moment. So perhaps one of the most useful things about Mirador is the possibility to view manuscripts side by side. And to do that, you can click this plus sign on the top left. And if you do so, you'll get a list of all the manuscripts that are currently part of the database of Manuscripts with Irish Associations. So these are in the format supplied by the libraries. And for that reason, because the sources are quite a few different libraries, the information provided is not very consistent, but hopefully can still be understood. In the very first case here, we have a batch of manuscripts. The icon, if you can just about read it, is from the Biblioteca Ambrosiana in Milan. And we have shelf marks, but for the next batch, this is from the eCodices website. You have origin and full shelf mark. It's probably more clear. In this case, we have manuscripts from the British Library, where you have also some contents. But I'll go down to this bunch of manuscripts from Reichenau, and I'll add another manuscript. So this is manuscript 167, and it appears here on the screen. And you have thumbnails as well, and you can zoom in as well and see the 2 side by side. One feature that's useful, especially when you're looking at a lot of material side by side, is here on the left. This bar contains options for the entire Mirador viewer, whereas the top bar contains options for individual manuscripts. And in the options for the entire viewer, you can go full screen, which does just what it says. And maybe I'll add in one more manuscript also to show you the potential of this. Maybe one more Reichenau manuscript. I'll put in number 195, and you can see all 3. Obviously, in this case, it might be easier to turn off thumbnails for individual manuscripts. You can do that in the individual bar for each one. And what's also very helpful is that you can rearrange manuscripts. So by dragging the white bar on top, you can put it into a different place. And perhaps that might be handy for you to, just to vary how you view according to what you need. The one icon I didn't show you yet is here in the white bar for a particular manuscript. When you open it up on the left, you get the information. You can control thumbnails over here on the right. And this last icon is to maximize this manuscript within the window. So you can start to look at this one in particular, and you can click it again to minimize. So you can look at a manuscript temporarily full screen, and when you minimize, you go back to the view that you had before if you want to look at a particular detail. And when you're finished everything, once you have this in a full screen, you can just click on the full screen icon for the entire window again, and you go back so you can browse the resource further. So that's a very brief tutorial. I hope it's useful. I hope it encourages you to compare images and use the features of this wonderful manuscript viewer, image viewer called Mirador. This project is still at a very early stage of development, so your feedback would be very much appreciated, and you can find contact details on the homepage.